Hello there, YouTube crew. I'm the real Dill. Today we're going to be looking at two mystery movies, both of which were disappointing to me, one more so than the other. Glass Onion specifically falls in the category of murder mystery, and its tone is definitely on the comedic side. The Pale Blue Eye, on the other hand, is a detective thriller mixed with a historical fantasy that has elements of horror added in. And all three of these genres are something that Edgar Allan Poe helped pioneer, and he, of course, is a major character in the film. Glass Onion mainly just falls short of its predecessor. See, the great strength of Knives Out was rooting the audience firmly in the POV and emotion of the protagonist very early on and ratcheting up the tension with the use of the normal detective tropes, except in this case, they're working against the hero of the story. And I think it was very well done structurally, and the emotion of this movie is just leagues above what it is in Glass Onion. Structurally, Glass Onion's first half is more laid back and flowy, which helps add to the fun of this movie. It's in line with, but also different from Knives Out. But it's more of a laid back feel to it, and the like because you're going with different perspectives helps add to that flowy fluidity of the movie. Now you do kind of fall into Blanc's point of view in the first half, but a lot of what he's doing is kept from the audience. So you're still at arm's length. Only at the shift into the second half do we finally firmly get put into somebody's POV. And, like, I thought it was a really cool character and an interesting way to do it. It just, the emotionality of the movie is hurt by it. And also, by the time you get to that point, you can kind of guess how the rest of the movie is going to work out. I mean, you might not get everything, but like once that turn happens, you kind of know what you're in for now. Still, it's a lot of fun. It's a really fun movie, and I think most people would enjoy it. The Pale Blue Eye has a similar setup with a guarded protagonist that kind of honestly hinders the movie. I mean, if it was more clever, it could get away with it. Like the reveal would be, really cool, but it's just, it just wasn't that interesting of a movie, to be honest. And going with that style for the protagonist, it really hurts an audience's ability to connect. Poe should have been more of the protagonist, the lens for which the audience views the movie if they were wanting to do that with the detective. And maybe I should rewatch both films, give them another shot. But honestly, I don't think my opinion will change much on either of them. In particular, there was a problem I had with Bale's character, the detective, and how easily he accepts and trusts Poe, especially with that first meeting they had. Like Poe was like screaming, "You need to investigate this guy," and he really doesn't. And with the reveal, with everything that happens, it's like, okay, this makes sense why Bale did things the way he did. But you lose a lot of the conflict and drama that could have been done if you know things were different. It like because honestly, I thought he brought him into the investigation as a way to investigate him without Poe realizing he's being investigated. I thought that was something clever that they were doing, and then it never happened. Then I felt bad. It's like it's just why is this movie not doing this? And then it comes around. It's like okay, well that's why. But and that's a real fault of this movie. It's slow. It never really picks up. It, besides a few scenes, there are a few good scenes in it that like you're very engaging, but they're too far in between, and it's just mostly dull. And Bale, he's okay in it. The guy who plays Poe, he's good, but they really shortchange his character right at the end, like or not the ending, but the actual true the big climax of the movie and leading up to that climax, they really shortchange Poe. I mean, they do give him a good denouement at the end. Honestly, I really did like that understanding between the two of them. I really liked it. I thought they played that well. it just wasn't enough to save the movie. So these are the prevailing nitpicks that I have. With the Pale Blue Eye, I mean, first things first, that exposition dump when Bale is first brought to West Point, oh man, like it is just from the second line, it's like, oh, this is just exposition. Oh, there's it's still oh, it's just they do nothing to hide that it's exposition, and like they don't lean into the military etiquette of introduction and this and that. Like it just they don't have any flavor to it that helps characterize it in a way that is anything but just plain exposition, and it's kind of grating to get through. Like you might as well just had text on the screen to tell us all this. Like it just had no flavor to do anything special with it. And then on top of that, like you have the guy, the number two guy. He comes to Bell later after this scene, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, no drinking on the job. Like, your reputation precedes you, and this and that." And it's like, okay, why was that not in the big exposition dump scene? Because there is something Bell does. They ask him if he wants water or tea or something, and he asks for a pint of beer, and they bring him some beer. And so, like, if you were gonna do that, the interesting way to do it is to let Bell get halfway through with his beer, then accept the job, and then the guy immediately takes the mug from him. He's like, "No, no drinking while you're working." That would have at least kind of elevated that material instead of just checking another box. And so with Glass Onion, my nitpick with it, I mean, there's no real way to talk about it unless I outright spoil it. So we find out that old girl was actually the sister, and that the real girl she's impersonating has already been murdered. And then we go through her meeting Blanc and them setting up this whole thing and finding out what's really been going on the island, what they've actually been doing. And then we catch up to the bang, she's shot. Oh, but she's not really killed because there's something that stopped the bullet, like cliche, but whatever, it works fine enough. But then they're in this high stakes, very limited time to come up with something, and like they just fart around, and it's way too jovial. It just doesn't, like, it undermines what comes later. Like it's so, like, they take too long, it's too comedic. They don't get in position quick enough, and like I just don't care for the drama of the next moment, which is everybody circles around. She's got hot sauce poured on her. There's a piece of hot sauce right here, and it's slowly sliding up. You don't know if it's going to go to the eye, and it starts heading to the nose, and it just gets right there when they all walk off. And you're like, I just didn't care about it. Like, I mean, on the one hand, you already know that everybody went away inside and that she got away with the deception, but dadgum, like they just completely undermined any bit of tension that could have been built by what directly preceded the hot. Like the hot sauce might as well not have been an issue, and that sucks because I think that was a really cool way to elevate that moment, but it just they shot themselves in the foot. Still, that being said, of the two movies, I would recommend Glass Onion. So if you're a big Edgar Allan Poe fan, if you're just a big fan of that detective thriller style and historical fantasy a bit, you might like The Pale Blue Eye if you're a big Christian Bale fan. I'm a big Christian Bale fan, but it wasn't that interesting of a performance, and I was kind of let down by that. Very let down by that, actually. Um, so if you're gonna watch one of the two, I'd suggest Glass Onion. I'm the real deal. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.